Hey everyone, Chris Sawyer here. The Varietal Show is back. I am in Healdsburg, California. Anyone been there? If you haven't, come visit. It's awesome. Breathless Winery is where we're at right now. I am with the great Penny Gadd-Coster, and to be really honest, this woman is a genius. She knows how to make sparkling wine, not just for herself, but for others, and has helped a lot of people. This is a very special place. As much as everyone goes to wineries and it's so great, some of you that have been to Carneros get to go to sparkling wine places like Domaine Carneros and Mum and places like that. And here in Sonoma County, we have Iron Horse is another good example, and Gloria Ferrer, of course. But when you really come down to it, there is a lot of stuff happening out there right now in this industry that's not just about sparkling wine houses that make sparkling wines, but people that make still wines are now making sparkling wines. And we have a lot to say about that because we are here not only at the great Breathless Winery and the great tasting room right just off the square here in downtown Healdsburg, but also Riddle. And this is a very important place that's really changed the industry in many different ways. Penny, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. So beautiful day and perfect day for bubbles. So,
I agree. I wore this little bit fashionable shirt just for everyone out there.
Much nicer, yes.
Wanted to feel a little festive. We are drinking bubbles and we have to look festive just because every day is a bubbly day, is it not?
Always.
Always. You got in this business a long time ago. What were the steps that kind of got you here? There's, Sharon, Rebecca, and Cynthia. They are three amazing sisters, you guys, who really kind of started this whole program. It's a very interesting thing in how it all happened. And I'll say one great thing about the four of us, including Penny and me, was that during COVID, there was a great show that we did. And we got to drink bubbly on the air, and we got to do a lot of things, talk about a lot of things, and try to get people out there watching this great Zoom broadcast that we did. And it was super fun because, you and I, we've known each other for a long time, Penny, but we sure became closer then, and we're super pals now, for sure. Fellow judges and everything. So tell us a little bit about how it all kind of came to be that you took your career and you kind of started here, and here we are today tasting bubbles.
So, interesting path. I originally started out at Jordan Vineyards and Winery, working with still wines. But the year that I started there, Tom started the sparkling wine program for them. So I kind of got to see J Vineyards and Winery kind of grow from the very beginning. And I was with Jordan for about 13 years, learned a little bit about the sparkling there. But after 13 years, I made the jump full into J Vineyards and Winery. I worked with a great mentor there, Oded Chapet.
Oded.
And really was the one that kind of got me really moved into how to do it right. And they were producing great wines at J. So
they certainly were. And that's great. You worked with Rob Davis, too. The great Rob Davis and the great Oded, two of my heroes as well, really mentors, I think, to all of us in the industry in many different ways, Jordan and Jay Wine Company. So here you are. And so did you get a call? How did it all kind of come down that, Sharon and her sisters called you?
Yeah. So it was a little bit after I had been brought on to Riddle. And we were actually just starting to kind of look at if we were going to be moving into Healdsburg, what was going to be happening. And Rebecca came in and said, how would you like to be the winemaker for Breathless Wines? And I said, absolutely, working for three amazing sisters and having a woman-owned, woman-led company and led by three women that are just absolutely amazing in what they've accomplished,
Yep.
each one of them. So really was a great honor to be able to just work side by side and hand to hand with them to see this project grow. So we do make the wines actually in the facility, which
Yep.
is right next door to the tasting
Right
room.
next door.
That is Rack and Riddle, and that's really great because then everything is right here. And then we can also show people what actually happens with sparkling wine making as well. So kind of a cool coordination.
It really is, you guys. There's no one behind us. The business is closed today, or the tasting room is. But I'll tell you right now, it is one of the nicest little places to sit. Right like a couple blocks off the square, off the plaza here in in Healdsburg, of course, not Sebastopol. But it's warm, it's wonderful here. Was the original spot in Hopland?
So for Rack and Riddle it was.
Okay.
For Breathless it was pretty much here.
It started right here.
So for the most part.
Okay.
So we started making a few of the wines, but we hadn't produced anything. We didn't have the winery, the tasting room yet. So there was a little bit of action going on, but really once the tasting room then got put into place here, then that's when it really started to kind of move.
And here we are. You and I have another relationship where we are wine judges. This is a true statement of fact, and we have a great time together. We just judged a really great East meets West competition, one of the oldest competitions in the entire United States for wine. And you and I sat there and we just had a great time. And I just realized, you know what? I need to do a show with Penny. This is going to happen. She is an outgoing person. She is going fishing. She's going on a major trip here coming up just before, all the major incoming grapes start. It's a strange year this year. They are not on the pace that they usually are. But we, not just the competitions that you and I judge, but all the competitions where your wines are sent in, the ones that you make for the sisters, for the brand, for everything, they win huge awards all the time. And so it was kind of hard to choose between what we wanted to taste today. However,
You're making me blush.
I know. I do recall that recently there's a Blanc de Blanc that we really, we've liked it in so many competitions, and that's what we're tasting here, the first one that we're tasting. But we're going to taste the second one too. We'll get to that in a minute. But Blanc de Blanc, for those of you that don't know, it says Blanc de Blanc. It means it's Chardonnay based. It's probably 100% Chardonnay, not always a law, but that is the base of this wine. Brut, on the other hand, will be, if it's done in method champenois, which is the technique you use in Champagne. That means it can have Champagne, or in Champagne by Champagne rules, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, or Pinot Meunier in there, and blends of different ones. Blanc de Noir, on the other hand, is one that we really talk about because it's Pinot Noir based. So here's one. I know we could talk about all of them, and you make all these different styles, and they're so interesting to you. But for what have you seen with Blanc de Blanc? I feel like it's really made a big difference, not only to you and I and how much we love it and how good it feels in the mouth, but also I think to a lot of consumers out there that might not have liked Chardonnay that much. They start tasting this, and that's what Chardonnay is all about. I like it. What do you think?
So I agree. I think a lot of times when people hear that it's Chardonnay, they're thinking about those still Chardonnays, and is there oak? Is there, what are the other components that can go with some of those still wines? And this is really the essence of what Chardonnay really is. Because we're picking it at a little lower sugar, then we're really getting the heart of what Chardonnay really tastes like, smells like,
right,
feels like. And then crafting it into something that then just makes it explode in your mouth and is just plain fun. Sitting with a glass of still Chardonnay, it's good. But sitting with a glass of a sparkling Chardonnay or a Blanc de Blanc and having your snacks and having fun and savoring and doing everything else that goes with it, nobody savors still wine because you can't. So
I support everything she just said, you guys. I am a big fan of Blanc de Blanc. It really, it taught me a lot of lessons too. It also taught me a lot about, in Champagne and how they found that kind of vein of soils, and those were the best parts to really plant Chardonnay that could be done by itself and bottled by itself. And it really kind of rubbed off on Burgundy as well. I mean, which came first? You could argue that one pretty easily. About which one was really more into Chardonnay at the same time, because they both kind of came along in certain moments there. But Chardonnay is a very special grape here in Sonoma County, and this is kind of a blend of different sites, isn't it? Or actually, this is the one we're tasting first. So this is the regular one. So this is it just Sonoma Coast, or what's the appellation on this?
So I believe this is Sonoma County.
It is Sonoma County, indeed.
And
Wink.
so there is just a little bit of Mendo in there. There's a little bit of Napa in there. And then a lot of kind of Carneros and Russian River, a little bit of Dry Creek out of Sonoma County. So it's a really nice blend. Part of the reason why I like to put a little bit of Mendocino in there is I love the Mendocino fruit, and we'll talk a little more about that.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that. A little secret.
There's just some beautiful, beautiful fruit, and so that little extra complexity that that brings to the Blanc de Blanc. And then each of the other areas too, the Carneros area versus Dry Creek versus Russian River, they're all completely different. And even though most of these are the same clone in those areas, they taste completely different. So,
well, I certainly like this. This is a beautiful example of what Blanc de Blanc tastes like. To me, it's got a lot of the regular characteristics of Chardonnay. Obviously, it is picked at a lower degree of sugar, and that's because really the acid is the most important thing there, because in the real technique that you use to make sparkling wine in method champenois, you take a little dab of sugar, you put it in here, and you put a little bit of yeast in there, and you put a beer cap on it. Yep, that's right, beer caps, you guys, believe it or not, that's how you make sparkling wine.
And they're truly beer caps.
And you basically are turning it. We have big cages now, we have a lot of ways, but you would call it riddling, and you'd turn it because you didn't want the sugar and the yeast to stick to the bottom. So it was a complete process that we were doing. It's helped a lot by these big cages where you put, how many fit in there? What do you think, 20?
It's about a pallet's worth of bottles, so about 44 cases.
Yeah, pretty amazing that you can put that in there. But just what I'm really getting out of it is the classic kinds of things from these different regions. Definitely a little bit of lemon from Carneros. Definitely a little bit of that peach and mango from Russian River. Some pear and apple from a variety of these different areas, or the AVAs. But it's just really unique, and it's got bubbles, you guys. It's not still, it is a bubble machine. And I just think that it has great mouthfeel. This goes so great. If you guys try it at home, I mean, the best thing to do with these wines, to be really honest, is get some potato chips with good salt and put it in there, and you'll be like, oh wow, that isolates some flavors, and it's fun. And caviar doesn't hurt either. And we can go on forever about how great these things are to really follow how they go with food, and they just create wonderful things. Everything's a celebration as long as you've got good people around you, and I think that this is a great example of what Breathless is able to do. This, they produce great wines, great sparkling wines, and it's really been fun to follow what's going on here.
I agree, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon.
Nope.
And it really has been a privilege and an honor to make these. And when you were talking about all the different areas, and one of the things that I learned way back when I was at Jordan was from Andrei Chelachek. And he said, one of the legends, why would you make a wine that didn't taste like the varietal? And so, again, kind of going back to that, that's really one of the missions, even for sparkling wine, in my mind, is making sure that grape is really featured. So.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of which, of featuring, so we just tasted the Blanc de Blanc, and this is another version of the same. It's kind of about the Blanc de Blanc, but if you can see a little bit closer here, it's actually about the Cox Vineyard which is in Mendocino County. This is actually just on your way up to Ukiah. It's not that. It's kind of between Hopland and Ukiah.
And Ukiah.
Basically about the halfway mark, pretty much. As far as we're going to tell you that, so just drive by it sometime, find out. There is a turnoff, the Cox Road, right? Or it's Cox Schrader or something road or something like that.
Yeah, that's not where the vineyard is.
Okay.
It's close by there.
It's close by there. But
yeah.
The fact is, I got to know the Cox Vineyard through a few different people, especially Carol Shelton, one of the great winemakers. She's been making a rosé from there for a long time. Yep. You like Mendocino County. I love Mendocino County. She actually loves Mendocino County. I'll speak on her behalf. And, recently we just tasted a really great offering from Mendocino County. It won #1 organic wine. It was a Sangiovese. They can grow a lot of things up there in Mendocino County, and they were the leaders and still are the leaders in the organic movement. So it's really unique up there. It's really got a focus up there, and organic is in, you guys. If you can grow better grapes because you're organic, that's the way to go. I mean, you shouldn't be hurting the earth. You should be protecting it, and you should be making these vines happy and healthy, not torturing them with chemicals and things like this. So Mendocino's really taught us a lot of lessons. What have you learned from Mendocino, and what got you so involved with this vineyard?
Well, so I've worked with this vineyard actually even way back when I was at Jordan.
Okay.
Way back.
Way back.
And so it was a vineyard that I already knew. I knew the people. And then over time, it's kind of come and gone depending on what kinds of projects that I was doing. And so when I was asked, I asked to do an organic wine, of course, that was the vineyard that I knew the best. And I knew it was an organic grown vineyard. They've been organic for a long time, and so they know what they're doing. And what's really great is because they've been doing it for a while, then the area has really adapted to that environment for organic growing as well.
Yeah, and we got to say one word here too, or give a little salute to someone that we all knew, Paul Dolan, who just passed away. A really great guy who really helped with that whole organic and biodynamic movements. Paul Dolan was a mentor to all of us, and he really helped change Mendocino County. Him and Alan York and some of these the Fetzer family, really important people in all of our lives that really touched us in different ways. And it's just an amazing area to drive up in. It's very different than Anderson Valley. And if you talk about another great sparkling wine house, Roederer, how did Anderson Valley really get on the map? It's when Roederer moved in there, you guys. It wasn't just about some crazy farm people just converting to grapes. It was about a major French producer, Louis Roederer, saying we can do this style of wine, world-class wines in America. We can go to Anderson Valley and we can do it. We've seen it in Carneros. We've seen it here with what you do. It's a really big movement. We have Schramsberg. Let's not forget about Schramsberg. But there's just there's only 10 really super top class ones. But you've got to work with this in different ways, and that's a fun thing for you. And that's just a special area. It's a big valley area right there, whereas the Anderson Valley is a very thin kind of area. It's maybe 2 miles wide, maybe 3 at one point, but it's a long valley. But this one is kind of wide. It gets a lot of sun in the afternoons. Here we are in Healdsburg. It's not that far up the road from us. It would get us, we'd be there in 25 minutes. We'd probably be in Hopland. And, it's just interesting, how it's even grown. I mean, have you seen more growing there now than ever? Or?
Well, there's a couple of pretty good-sized growers up there, that's for sure. And I can't say I've seen it decrease.
Yeah.
I think we are in a little bit of stasis right at the moment, because the really great areas for growing, I think, actually have kind of been taken.
Yeah.
So even though it's a large area, the growing area is kind of in the southern part of the county. And Anderson Valley is kind of off to the west a little bit. And there's quite a few vineyards out in that area. But it is a very hilly area, so it's a difficult area to grow as well. I know people who have tried to put vineyards into some of those really steep, hilly areas. And even though the grapes are very nice, the farming is very, very difficult.
And very expensive, too.
And very expensive.
It's true. Well, what I like about this sparkling wine, it's the same. It's not the same exact thing because this is from one vineyard. Remember, that's the difference. This is a vineyard designate, and the difference to me is it's got a layer of complexity that's really unique. What did you? Is it something from the clones? Is it something from the site? How did you really kind of enhance that or capture it?
Yeah, so definitely from the site. There's a couple of different areas on the site. One that's a little bit higher, one that's kind of a little bit lower. And what I found is that even throughout that vineyard, there was a lot of diversity, even as I'm going through and tasting berries. So part of this exercise was actually kind of doing a couple different lots from different areas of that vineyard, and then crafting the complexity from those different areas. One of the things I absolutely love about this vineyard is just all of the tropicalness that comes out of it. And even on the upper areas and the lower areas, some of them they're kind of different versions of tropical. Yeah. So like you mentioned, like mango, and there's like a little passion fruit in some of it, and a little pineapple. And so it's a really interesting way to kind of look at sparkling wine, because we don't always think about those things associated necessarily with Chardonnay to start with, but then definitely not with a Blanc de Blanc, which tends to be a little more austere and a little more kind of apple and pear is what we kind of always think about. And for me, this is, I don't know, sitting in Hawaii, having my caviar and my potato chips and
pretty much,
enjoy.
Macadamia nuts.
Macadamia nuts, that works.
I mean, the first one is so just delicious. I mean, it is a user-friendly one that it's easy to love it. This next one is more complex. I would definitely be doing some really interesting things. I'd even be going as far as some really big dishes. Alaskan halibut. With something like that kind of a fruit salsa, tropical fruit salsa, might be really, really interesting. Certain kind of more flaky, kind of crusty pies and things like this. Steak.
Grilled
steak. And I'm talking about a savory pie, though. I'm not talking about a sweet pie here. I'm talking about things like, could it go with mushroom? I'd go, if it had white chanterelle, I would say,
definitely.
I'm interested. Let's try it. And so many other, things, especially cheeses and just, once again, potato chips. Don't forget your potato chips too.
Yeah.
But what do you really like with these two? What are two of your favorite things with these?
Yeah. So all-time favorite is potato chips and caviar when I can. A little tobacco if I can't afford the caviar at the time. But really, I've found that Blanc de Blanc actually goes with a lot more things than we think. Yeah. And sometimes even for dessert. This particular bottling, this organic wine, has no dosage in it, none. So it's kind of interesting in that it's still soft. It's it's been on tirage for about 2 to 3 years, but still it's kind of nice and soft. You aren't getting any kind of bitterness or anything that you'd go, oh, this isn't going to go even with maybe like a blueberry dish or something.
Blueberry?
Yeah. So I for some reason I'm thinking blueberries with this. But yeah, a little blueberry, but not too sweet. Yep. Even a couple little pralines with this would be really nice. But for me, just anything that I can grill, any kind of chicken, any kind of fish.
Chicken would be really good.
Pork dishes. But some of my all-time favorite things are veggies. Yeah. And my favorite thing is to kind of grill up veggies with a little bit of grapeseed oil and throw them on a warm tortilla and have that with the wine. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I'm feeling it, you guys. I'm feeling it. Well, Penny, this has been amazing. We obviously you got some workers over there. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's harvest, you guys. Penny's going to take a vacation, but she'll be back real soon because she has to be. But it's just a joy to be here with you and to really kind of broadcast what is happening here. Breathless is a great brand. I knew Sharon a long time ago, one of the sisters. She's been my friend for 30, 40 years. I've known Sharon, and she's an amazing woman. Meeting her sisters, getting to know you, and watching the success of this brand has been really something special. Especially like Peggy, like Penny said, it's more about, this is woman-owned company, and she's a woman winemaker, and it's really about some stuff here, and it's also about the mother who was like, she's pretty much took care of these kids by herself, and she was like a really special woman, and so it's kind of a very special thing to her. That every time we enjoy wines, we're thinking about their mother as well.
Absolutely.
And so it's a great thing, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's show, and I hope you guys will drink some of this fabulous Breathless wines, and it's right here. You can find it. Just look up Breathless wines, and this is a really special time to really be thinking about it, because you know what? There's holidays coming up all the time, but every day is a holiday, especially when you've got wines like this, you guys. So thanks once again for joining in to us here at the Varietal Show. We will see you again next time. Cheers!
Cheers. Thank you, Chris.